Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Yo, host the Hut, welcome back to the Baseball Hut 2. And hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So back here talking about the Yankees. How the owner of the Yankees, Hal Steinbrenner, kind of said some things that a lot of people think that's ridiculous. He's sort of crime poverty, but yet, he has the highest value sports franchise and sports history. It's kind of tough to do that. And some people aren't too happy about it. I think it's just ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. This is from Awful Announcing. And, of course, the legendary radio host Mike Francesca from WFAN had this to say. And he's independent now. He does this YouTube channel. And I would mention the Mike Francesca podcast follows me, which makes me feel good. Really, the only thing that follows me in the media is the Mike Francesca podcast. Hopefully I can keep that forever. But this is the headline. Mike Francesca, Dodgers making Yankees look like an A-ball outfit. What was Hal Steinbrenner thinking? I am shocked. Well, let's see what the Pope has to say. The sports Pope. The sports doctor. The New York Yankees owner. Hal Steinbrenner made comments on Monday. That didn't go over well with the fan base. Steinbrenner claimed the Yankees had a roster payroll of $319 million in 2025 and added, would it be ideal if it went down? Of course. Hill said it's not a fair statement or an accurate statement to assume the Yankees are making a profit. This is a quote from Brian Hawk on Hal Steinbrenner. Steinbrenner said payroll was $319 million in 2025. Quote, would it be ideal if it went down? Of course. But does that mean that's going to happen? Of course not. We want to field a team we know can win a championship, or we believe can win a championship. This is from Chris Kirshner. Hal Steinbrenner seemed to suggest that the Yankees are not making a profit. When a question was asked about the Yankees making more than $700 million in revenue, and if it's fair to assume he's making a profit, here's how he answered. No, it's not fair, actually. On Tuesday, New York sports radio legend Mike Francesca sounded off on Steinbrenner's comments for 10 minutes on the Mike Francesca podcast. Now, he has a podcast simulcast on Twitter, now X, and, of course, on YouTube. And I watch it periodically. It's I love Francesca. And you should watch it, too. I don't recommend too many things, but that I'd recommend. Of course, grew up listening to him and Mike and the Mad Dog. Quote, what was Hal thinking? Francesca began. I am shocked. I always get questions about the payroll. I'm even surprised he would say that he would like the payroll to be lower because that sends off bells and whistles. But to get into whining about a payment that actually saves some money in property taxes, let's be honest, Hal opened up a Pandora's box. Owners would rather jump out of a building than let anybody order their books. They will never let anybody near the books. You're talking about a franchise that George Steinbrenner bought that was the greatest purchase this side of Manhattan, being bought for $24, Francesca said. He bought the Yankees, New York Yankees, with other people's money at $165,000 in cash of his own money. Now think about what he paid for. Depending if you want to get into all the different things that with the parking garages and everything else, everywhere from $8 and change to $9 million for the franchise, okay? $9 million. They're now worth between $8 and $9 billion. The logo is one of the most important brands in the world and recognizable brands in the world. Do you know how many holding in different companies they have? Either the Yankees don't make money. I'm surprised he actually say it with a straight face, Francesca said. I mean, you're going to plead poverty? Listen. You can plead a lot of things with the New York Yankees. Poverty can't be one of them. It cannot. Now, we know that Hal is much tighter for buck, and we know that some things in baseball have changed. But the idea they are tripping over the money they make is an absolute joke. And people will line up to bid for this franchise. Line up. And it could go for $10 billion. Hey, the Yankees is anything but an absolute gold mine. It's a joke. A joke. There were rumors a couple of years ago that the Yankees are going to be sold to Apple. And I think this is going to happen anyway. I think in a few years they're going Because I get the sense that Hal's, he doesn't have a lot of conviction. Okay? It's not about winning with him. His father didn't care. His father cared about winning. It's all he cared about. Francesca then turned to rant and explained how far ahead of the Yankees Los Angeles Dodgers are. The Dodgers went back-to-back World Series titles and had a payroll estimated at approximately $415 million in 2025. The Yankees finished third in the competitive balance tax payroll behind the Dodgers and the Mets. But now, you don't want to play the game on the Dodgers level, Francesca continued. Fine. The Dodgers have made the Yankees look like an A-ball outfit. That's what's really bad, is they have allowed, and George never would have allowed this. They have allowed the Dodgers to take what the Yankees used to do. The Yankees, we are bigger, we are better, we spend more, we shop at Tiffany's, we buy the best. We are the best. That's how the Yankees acted. And we win, and we are the best. Well, we learned last year when they lost Soto, they didn't react well. That never would have happened if George was still around. We know that for a fact. I know that. I'm a Met fan. If George Steinbrenner was, he would have given him $800 million to make sure he didn't go to the Mets. Quote, they don't act that way anymore, Francesca explained. Now they're satisfied when they make the playoffs. Why are they satisfied? Because their stadium is full and their signage is up. And the sponsors are buying the signage. And the luxury boxes are rented. That's how they judge the season. And they need the playoffs for any of that to happen. But there's only so much they're willing to spend now. And then to plead poverty and get upset about a payment that actually saves them money in property tax. I mean, you got to be out of your mind. Quote, this was a real mistake by how to go down this road, Francesca said. He can't win. He can't win going down that road. There's no way to win down that road. And no one is going to believe that their dispute. Well, don't think just because our revenues are $700 million a year, while the Mets are 380 or 85 or whatever they turned out to be this year. And that's a big rise for them in revenue. Don't assume we're making money. But we don't want to get into all the different companies we have. Do we have to explain those? Well, how about this? I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll prove it once and for all. We'll just open up the books and bring in an independent auditor. Boy, this is an epic rant by Mike. Boy, donkeys will fly before that ever happens. Donkeys will fly before anybody ever sees those books. Take that to the bank. Take that to the bank. And the bank is someplace the Yankees and their partners visit often. They can't win that fight. They cannot win that fight. And it's the worst kind of message to send to your fan base. That was brought up on, we buy the best, we are the best, we are the Yankees. Well, we don't mind being second or third and competing. Yes. We've only won one championship in the last 25 years. But we try hard. And we all get along. This is not good. And when Hal was asked about the team, he said, I like that they all got along last year. Francesca elaborate. Well, that's great. You're back to 78 when they couldn't stand each other, but they beat the hell out of everybody else. Yankee fans would rather have that. They don't care if they don't get along. They want rings. And when they're paying what they pay for parking, what they pay for a beer, what they pay for a hot dog, what they pay for a Yankee hat, and you see Yankee caps in every color under the rainbow, and you see Yankee merchandise all over the world. Go into any airport in the world and you'll see a Yankee hat. Anywhere it's hard to plead poverty when you're the New York Yankees. Very, very hard. And matter of fact, it's not where you want to go as the owner. It's almost like the Yankees have become this place where they don't make changes because everybody knows where the bodies are buried. Francesca said his closing thoughts on the subject. Well, I know one thing. Everyone knows where the money is kept. Well, and the point being is you have this trust fund that they're trying to sort of hold on, and that's what it's about. I mean, you have all the inheritors of this big pot of gold, and they don't want to do anything to disrupt it. And when you spend more money, there's a chance that you could lose, and you can lose money. But the one thing George would never put up with is being second best to the Dodgers. Certainly would be second best to the Mets. This never would have happened, by the way. Like I said. Never would happen in a million years. That's what's different about this particular ownership group, is that Steinbrenner, the old man, would never let that happen. That's everything you need to know about where the New York Yankees are as an organization. They've had the same general manager for 20 years. They've had the same manager for the last 7 years, 8 years, whatever it is. And that's not how it used to be. Everybody was on edge when George was around. Not anymore. Everybody's comfortable there. Well, thank you for watching this video. And, of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut too. And I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut 3. And hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe. This is going to be a fun video. Because I was going through this list of the top sports influencers that Awful Announcing's put out and content creators. What a list. Bunch of angry feminists. One guy got his show canceled today as I'm recording this video. And a bunch of TikTok dopes. But let's go through this list. I don't know. I know one name on this list. And the rest of them, boy, oh boy. But anyway, headline. Awful Announcing's top sports influencers and content creators of 2025. Most Americans get news from social media creators and YouTubers. Here are the sports personalities leading the way to this new frontier of sports coverage. Now, here's the thing. We're starting to see a lot of the old media going into the podcast, and this goes across everything. They're going to try to run a lot of us off, like your host, out of here. Going to say this again. I ain't going anywhere. It's all planned out. In the next 25 years, I'm not going anywhere, folks. So you'll always find me somewhere on the internet. Because in 20 years, there won't be any YouTube. But, the one thing I would say is that you have all these ex-athletes, all these failed broadcasters doing these podcasts. Some of them aren't any good. I'll give you an example. Adam Ottavino. He's no good, he sucks. But he's throwing out a lot of dirt about the New York Mets. It's not good. The dominant narratives in sports still come from live video. Television hosts, podcast stars, radio personalities, and game announcers shape fans' opinions more than anyone else. And this is the coverage that teams pay attention to. Yet, as everyone spends more time on their phones and watches user-friendly, user-generated content on TVs, as often as, if not more than, traditional TV, the way the fans engage with sports does not align with that conventional recipe. Now, first of all, you don't have to listen to the radio to watch a radio show. You can watch a podcast or watch a radio program on YouTube or on your phone. You need to listen to the radio, same thing with TV. For the past 2 years, Pew Research surveys have shown that more than half Americans say they regularly get their news from social media. Video content on TikTok and YouTube dominates the field. In response, many prominent creators and influencers have used the platforms to launch careers. These people, often more so than the most famous ESPN hosts or future sports broadcasting Hall of Famers, are the primary source of news, information, and analysis for fans. With over first ever list of the top sports influencers and creators they sought, Awful Announcing sought the first most successful, popular people serving this purpose for fans across America's top sports. The list comprises people who are innovating, and building real community around the exhaustive coverage and incisive analysis. That is not to say that these people are not also entertaining. To cut through in the ever-crowded online content marketplace, you have to be all of the above. The town we are highlighting here certainly is. Lots of women, mostly women on this list. Speaking of which, Katie Feeney, ESPN. Katie Feeney. A large segment of fans were likely introduced to the idea of a sports social media star when ESPN hired Feeney early this year as a sports and lifestyle content creator. while she still posts most of her content to her own platforms, which include 7.6 million followers on TikTok, 1.3 million on Instagram, and 1.1 million on Snapchat. Feeney operates as a conduit between ESPN and many digital-first ESPN sports fans. I still have this cold, by the way. Feeney's on the ground at big sporting events each week. ESPN empowers her to create content that's very similar to what she did before joining the worldwide leader. And this way, Feeney gets to bring fans to even more exclusive spaces. And I would mention, ESPN is owned by Disney, and as you know, Disney is a disaster as a company. And the fact that they hired her, this is how I mentioned how we have all these spaces are being inundated by these big corporations. You know, it's difficult. Next up, Kofi Yaboya, I guess is his name. Since he first popped up in the space, Yaboya has had a knack for what internet sports communities want. An SB Nation's secret base, Yaboya worked on chronologies of the best and worst sports teams ever and long-form storytelling about stories big and small. With independent content, he has tapped into the same passions, specializing in nostalgia content and media commentary with a keen understanding of what it's like to be a millennial sports fan. While he mostly closely covers the NBA, he also weaves into soccer, gaming, and beyond. He sounds boring. Let's be honest. Yaboya is one of many popular creators that get involved with Offside, a still under wraps collective bill is the next. Oh, it's communism. Collective bill is the next gen sports network. Yep, there you go. Lucy Rodon, Meadowlark Media, melding Gen Z cynicism with a Midwestern sports obsession. Rodan rose quickly during the 2020 shutdowns of her irrelevant short-form video coverage of college football. Meadowlark quickly snapped her up for an ill-fated stint on the Dan So, this cold is killing me. For an ill-fated stint on the Dan Le Batard show, but Rodan's content is as good as ever. She beams out her Bad Team series after each week of the college season. Where the fascinations of college football diehards go to die in the drone of Rodan's hilarious deadpan. Oh boy. One feminist after another. Kevin Clancy. Now this is actually kind of amusing. This is really funny. Barstool Sports. One of Barstool's longest tenured talents and now likely best known for his commentary on TikTok, where his 73,000 subscriber strong channel has become like a page 6 for sports. A sampling of Clancy's recent videos includes an analysis of Donald Trump's lobbying to bring back Rush Hour, a breakdown of Bill Belichick's appearance at the Jordan Hudson cheer competition, and commentary of the arrest of 2 Cleveland Guardians pitchers on fraud charges. Now, I would mention, his podcast got canceled on Wednesday. Happy Thanksgiving, Kevin. Happy Thanksgiving. It's completely gone. He talked about funny. Let's move on. And he's obviously an employee of Dave Portnoy. One of the biggest losers, one of the biggest jerks online. Biggest losers and one of the biggest jerks. Kenny Peachum. Enjoy basketball. The OG NBA YouTuber is already at risk of graduating from this list with a fresh deal at NBC Sports. Again, these are all wannabes. They all want to be part of the clique. They all want to be insiders. He's no different. Coach Jackie J. Boy, she's an award winner. What is Sporty Spice? Watch Coach Jackie J's TikTok videos and you understand. The idea is to cover sports with an eye for juicy narratives. The result sees the women's sports and analysts smartly tackling the many layered stories of the WNBA, NWSL, and women's college basketball. I wonder what her thoughts are on men competing in these sports. Probably scared shitless. She'll say, "Well, I want the men to compete." They all do. All these women here. All these men. Ariel Epstein, the ringer. Is she related to that other guy with the name Epstein? Sports betting creators are a dime a dozen. But Epstein quickly went from independent streamer and video host to ringer personality nicknamed the Prop Queen. Epstein stands out by working to build a real community around her betting content beyond her picks. Well, she has like a master. She's not her own person. She's not her own boss. Brett Coleman. There's nothing like a good old-fashioned YouTuber. Coleman is brilliant at constructing YouTube video essays about the NFL, whether he's covering the evolution of NFL kickoff rules or declaring his love for Indianapolis Colts legend Bob Sanders. Who? He's so legendary, I've never heard of him. Every young fan knows the All 32 brand, and Coleman is also a must-follow on X each Sunday. Jack Settleman, Snapback Sports. Okay, where many digital sports brands chase the popular platforms and try to beat other creators at their own game, Snapback has always seemed to step ahead. They dominate Snapchat with newsletters and through a growing trivia game. Snapback content focuses on the thrill of competition and the passion of fans, not on narratives or trends. With nearly 1 million followers on Snapchat and almost 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, who does for Mr. Beast-inspired sports experience vlogs. Ooh. Settleman's companies attracting a different sort of fan that the major networks or even the first generation of internet sports companies. Don't know what to think of that. Don't want to be really compared to Mr. Beast. I'm sorry. That's how I look at it. What's this next person? Quinta loves sports. Again, women's basketball. You take Caitlin Clark out of there, nobody cares. You take the NBA, not subsidizing. Nobody goes to the games. They can't afford the players. Any Agar, there may be no more reliable, entertaining piece of crap. Content than Agar's NFL meeting series. Look at all these women. My goodness. I learned this from following comics and a certain degree games and all these different genres, TV and stuff. When it's a male-dominated thing and you bring women in there, they basically destroy it. Because these women get propped up by somebody to go in and be disruptive in some way. And they try to normalize their and try to make it seem like they're more important than they are. Look at them, my goodness. Mariah Rose, my goodness, what a list. My goodness. This goes on and on and on, this list. It's on and on. But anyway, you try to be independent, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's why I do different channels. Just, you go and experiment. This is more an experiment, this channel, the Baseball at 3. This will get monetized at some point, but all these different channels and all these different people coming in, they just want to be in the know. They want to be, that's why I don't talk to anybody. Nobody wants to talk to me because I'm so independent and I'm like one of these, I'm a loose cannon according to them. And I'm far from that, believe me. I'm about as boring as it gets, aside from what I do on YouTube, to be honest with you. But, the thing is with these content creators, they all want to be in the know, but they don't have the sort of background in communications. They BS a lot. Some of them want to be broadcasters and they just don't have the ability. They're not good enough. And some of them have that background and they just, for whatever reason, they just don't make it. So they do all these videos and they get a following. It's fine. But then at some point, these corporations start to take notice. Real influence is changing a company from the outside, and you don't get any credit, which happened with me, where I put my opinions on WFAN, and they changed their whole behavior online, the way they would posting stuff and things like that. But and I did that, and I'll continue to do that. But that's how you're really influential. Not this nonsense. This is all nonsense. To be honest with you, because these are all the same people. You can change these people, move them around. You bring in new people, the same people, same results. Well, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hut. Welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving to record this video, and hopefully you had good turkey or whatever you had. Great stuffing, mashed potatoes, great dessert. But obviously, this is about the Mets, this video, and obviously Jeff McNeil is of interest in this video because I'm going to lay the cards down on the table. He's getting traded. I said that he was going to get traded after the season. Even before the season, I said they were going to move him. And as you know, they've broken up this core of players that they've had here really since 2019. They've added players, They added Francesca Lindor. They added Juan Soto last year. But they needed a change for quite a few years. This group had been together for a very long time. And now they have the ability to do that. And they're doing that now. And McNeil is the next shoe to drop. I expect him to drop probably within the next 10 days. I expect him to get moved just due to the fact that he's older. And the Mets have a lot of young players that need to play in his place. Now, they've made this trade for Brandon Nimmo. They brought in Marcus Semien. I want to point out something to people that are still upset about the Nimmo deal. Over the course of their careers, who's a better player? Thank you. Who's a better player? Who's won? Who hasn't won? Marcus Semien, and I know he had a down year. I know he's 35 years old. But 3 times in his career, he finished third in the MVP vote in the American League. Brandon Nimmo's never done that. I would also mention Marcus Semien can be a little inconsistent offensively in his career. He's been like that his whole career. Just look at the numbers and you'll see it. Now, people are bringing up the fact that he's 35. Well, he's put up a lot of big numbers over the last few years. He's over 30. And like I said, he is one. And the one thing this group has not done is won. And he's a gamer, plays hard. And we know that Nimmo played hard. And was a good clutch hitter at times, but he's very streaky. Now you're putting a player who has over 250 home runs in his career, who's been a second baseman the last 6-7 years. And that is a big difference over a guy who's had 130 home runs as an outfielder. That's a major improvement. There's more talent there. Let's brought in some talent. It's older talent, but it's talent. Give him a chance. Don't be bitching and moaning about it. Okay, you look ridiculous, a lot of people. When they start complaining about these trades. Did the Mets want Brandon Nimmo? No. Is he a great guy? Yes. But we got to look at this team and be very tough on this team. And that's why I've been the dark hut for the last few months now. But here we have Jeff McNeil, who I've said that needed to be gone a few years ago to help this team's attitude a little bit. And there have been teams coming out who could be interested. AI has said he's going to get traded to Houston. See about that. Houston, I don't know what's going on down there. SI.com put out an article, and this is an overview. John Heyman put out an article, I guess. New York Mets could trade Jeff McNeil to these teams. The Mets likely aren't done shaking up their roster this offseason. Well, they need to do more moves. And I said this in other videos. Don't be surprised if Peter Alonso's not here anymore. Don't be surprised if Edwin Diaz isn't here anymore. Because like I said, this group has been together since 2019 with some additions. New York Mets already traded one lineup mainstay in Brandon Nimmo and could potentially deal another regular this offseason. The versatile Jeff McNeil has been drawing trade interest, and the Mets appear open to dealing him. They've been wanting to deal him for a while. According to the Scott Boras whisperer John Heyman of the New York Post, the Seattle Mariners and Pittsburgh Pirates are possible landing spots for McNeil. Now the Pirates are new. I've talked a lot about the Mariners for a long time. They've liked him since the Edwin Diaz trade / Robbie Cano deal. McNeil could replace free agent Jorge Polanco as the Mariners' second baseman. He'd also bring a veteran presence to a Pittsburgh team that is in need of offense. So he's got 2 benefits there. McNeil's coming off a mostly solid offensive season 2025, is entering the final year of his contract of $15.75 million. It's not a bad contract. The 1 year of control, a 2027 club option, makes him more movable this winter. Now, I didn't think McNeil had a good year. A lot of people made a big deal saying he had a good year. I did not think that way. I did not think he had a good year, and I did not like the fact that he's bat fifth in this lineup, sixth in this lineup, sometimes clean up. Really care for that. The Mets acquired Marcus Semien from the Rangers in exchange for Nimmo, which displaces McNeil as the everyday starting second baseman. McNeil can also play all three outfield spots, but the Mets look destined to fill their two outfield holes with other players. Top prospect Carson Benz is the candidate to take over in center, and highly coveted free agents Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger fit in left field. I expect a big outfielder here. I expect Tucker or Bellinger here. And who knows what else. This isn't the first time the Mets have discussed trading McNeil. Back in the 2021-22 offseason, the Mets were shopping him around after a disappointing campaign. They instead kept him, and he responded by winning the National League batting title in 2022. Again, he was almost traded in between 2018 and 2019. And he did not get moved because Brody Van Wagenen got brushed back from a lot of fans online who backed out of that part of the deal. However, McNeil produced inconsistent seasons in 2023 and 2024. Last year, the 33-year-old hit .243 with 335 on-base percentage, 411 sluggers. That's not great. That's not good. Sorry. It's not great. The 746 OPS, 12 home runs and 54 RBIs in 122 games. But McNeil struggled in the final month of the season due to a shoulder issue that he later received thoracic outlet syndrome surgery following the campaign. I guess that was the problem with the shoulder, I guess. And that doesn't seem to be a problem in terms of him getting traded. He's not a pitcher, so that shouldn't be a problem. In a world where the Mets are unable to ship McNeil, he could potentially factor in at first base. That's not happening, folks. All the people that I used to get all those kind of messages. I talked about a particular player. The people were writing, "That's not happening," like a lunatic. That's not happening. He's never going to play first for the New York Mets. Even the Mets bring back Pete Alonso, he's expected to receive more at-bats as a DH, which would open the door for McNeil and possibly Mark Vientos. So that's not happening either. Mark Vientos isn't going to be here. I'd be shocked if he was. That being said, it feels like a split between the Mets and McNeil's on the horizon, especially after the Semien trade. The Mets and President of Baseball Operations David Stearns are focused on improving their run prevention, which means upgrading the pitching and defense. Acquiring Semien brings Gold Glove defense to the second base position. Now, a couple of things about, also go back to Semien real quick. He played 122 games, 127 games. I guess he had an injury. So that could have been why his numbers were down. Because the 3 previous years, he had over 20 home runs. He had 16 last year. So it might be because of the missed time that his numbers were down a little bit. But anyway, McNeil has been a very good Met here. Obviously, won a batting title. At one point, he was over 300 in his career with the Mets for quite a while. His first 1,000 at-bats. But he is very inconsistent. And it goes to the inconsistencies of this group. Brandon Nimmo is inconsistent. Jeff McNeil is inconsistent. Okay? You can't have all these everyday players being this inconsistent. Because what you're going to find is when everybody's inconsistent, and that happens. Lineups have these down moments in a season. You can't have them all down. That's what's so weird about this, has been about this group in this lineup, is when one guy is down, they're all down. It's the weirdest thing. And we know that Francesca Lindor can be very up and down. He's especially at the beginning of the seasons, as we know. But I expect McNeil to be gone. The Astros I've talked about, the AI said that. Now we have the Pirates, although the Mets would have to eat some of that money. And of course the Mariners. The Mariners are, I think, it's probably my opinion where he's going to go. That's where I think he's going to go, most likely. And who knows who else? Maybe the A's, players that play multiple positions like he does and play them well enough have value. Now people are going to say, well, he hit 240, you're never going to be able to move him. That's not happening. It's going to happen. You got the Hut's guarantee on that one, folks. He's going to get moved, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they get back for him. He has no place to play now, second base. Quite a few middle infielders don't have that spot now. Jet Williams doesn't, and quite a few people are going to be out of here. Let's have a lot of middle infielders. They have a lot of players of value that need to go. You want them on the 40-man roster or not? You want them in there in spring training or not? And it's really going to come down to this team has not won. It needs to move on. It needs to stop getting their players in the right direction, all together in the right direction. And this is not a situation where these are bad guys. It's just that it's only business. It's only business. You know, as my voice starts to return. But Jeff McNeil's been a good Met. And he's the second Met to win a batting title, but it's time to go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, so long, farewell. That's how it goes. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Check out merchandise. As you know, we've got Black Friday coming. And, of course, wonderful weekend. You can keep shopping. Please check out all the stuff I have on there. Please send me a super thanks. It's a great way to support the channel. Every little bit you send me goes into the channel. And, of course, improve audio, video. That's where it goes. So do that for me, please. And, of course, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. All right, everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So we talked about Edwin Diaz. We'll talk about him again. If you want more videos on Edwin Diaz, this is the channel you want to follow. Obviously, it's the Mets channel. It's the best Mets channel you can find. I go through this stuff. I don't have any guests on. It's just me talking to you. And hope you like it. And here we go. So, obviously, the Mets had a terrible season. Had a terrible finish. They were the best team for the first 2 months of the season. But I think a lot of people realize that there were issues here. Yes. And we have to figure out what else they could do. They traded Brandon Nimmo. He's gone. He's gone to Skadoosh. Send him out of here. Mets traded him to the Rangers for Marcus Semien. He's going to play second base. Mets do not have a second outfielder now. They have a vacancy in center field. They have a vacancy now in left field. They have Juan Soto. The belief is that Juan Soto should be the right fielder next year. But who knows what the Mets' plans are doing, or you know, what their plans are. And there are good outfielders that are on the market the Mets could sign. But obviously, Mets have other free agents. They have Pete Alonso, and they have Edwin Diaz. Now, I've said in other videos, do not be surprised if they're all gone. Because this was a terrible collapse. You have to make tough decisions and have to make changes. If you don't make those changes, you're going to keep repeating the same problem again and again and again and again. And that's what this organization has done for a long time. They keep making the same mistakes again and again and again. What's the line about insanity? You know you're insane when you keep doing the same things over and over and over and get no good results out of it. And this is what we're dealing with now. But there are three candidates that could potentially be the next closer of this Mets club. They're all good ones. Some are better than others, but they're pretty good. These three particular guys. And this is in case Edwin signs elsewhere. Okay, AI, I've used AI. It's all over the place right now. He's going to go to the Dodgers. He's going to sign with the Blue Jays. See the money that the Blue Jays spent for Dylan Cease? It's going to be very expensive to get a starter. And it's going to be they're going to spend a lot of money to get a closer. But there are pretty good closers on the market this year. Mets got very lucky with that. So this is from SI. Mets talking to three potential Edwin Diaz replacements in free agency. The Mets are talking with three relievers in case Edwin Diaz heads elsewhere this winter. Now, he said a few weeks ago it was a 50-50 chance he'll be back. I think that's starting to drop. New York Mets fans don't want to imagine a world without Edwin Diaz anchoring the back end of their bullpen. However, given that Diaz is an unrestricted free agent, is determined and expected to command close to $100 million and has generated interest from any MLB team that doesn't already have a league closer locked down. there's a real chance that Diaz would be wearing another team's jersey by opening day 2026. Now, a couple of things. He's been with this club a long time now, since 2019. The team has not won. In those years, he had 2 good years, 2 really great years. I believe that he's the reason why the Mets did not make the postseason in 2019. It's because of his poor pitching that year. He didn't pitch well in 2020, in that short season. Didn't pitch really that great in 2021. Pitched great in 22, pitched great this year, but did not pitch great last year. But he got some outs when the Mets needed to get outs. So he's been up and down here. You see, he's the greatest closer of all time. Closers are they're pain in the ass a lot of times. Especially when you have a set one. But keep in mind, like I said, the Mets have had this group together a long time. Have they won? No. But he wasn't the reason why the Mets collapsed in September and pitched poorly. It was the rest of that bullpen. The Mets bullpen was brutal down the stretch last season. It would have been a lot worse if not for Diaz. This is why there's no question that the team would look to find another closer. The 31-year-old does end up elsewhere. We know that Brian Helsley destroyed this season in the bullpen. Gregory Soto was bad, and quite frankly, Tyler Rogers was not that great. Okay, I didn't think he was that good. There were times where he would give up hits, and they're like, I know the numbers told you one thing, but I didn't feel very confident with him. The only other guy that was good at that bullpen was Brooks Raley. A guy who was arguably baseball's best and most consistent closer for the past decade is hard to replace. And Diaz's 1.63 ERA, 28 saves, and 198 strikeouts, and 66 in the third innings pitched during the 2025 regular season show that he's still at the top of his game. The good news is this is one of the best free agent markets when it comes to relievers in recent memory, giving David Stearns and the rest of the Mets front office several compelling options to replace Diaz, and it seems that 2 have already piqued their interest. That's a good sign. The Mets are talking to other people. Mets in talks with 2 closers of free agency. In November 26 article from Mark W. Sanchez of the New York Post asserted that the Mets have been in talks with former San Diego Padres closer Robert Suarez. He's pretty good. And former Tampa Bay Rays reliever Pete Fairbanks. Be careful with him. Because pitch for the Rays. The Rays let you go. And at least they non-tender. Be careful. The article also noted a report from The Athletic that the team has been in touch excuse me, with former Yankees reliever Devin Williams as well. These are arguably the top 3 relievers available aside from Diaz. So it's no surprise to hear that New York has the trio in their sights. While Suarez, Fairbanks, and Williams would be suitable Diaz replacements, Suarez is probably the best option, only because he has produced a 2.87 ERA and 76 saves since becoming San Diego's closer in 2024. He's excellent. He's terrific. Now, obviously, they got Miller there now, Mason Miller, so they let him walk. Fairbanks produced a 2.83 ERA and tallied 77 saves with the Rays in 2025, while Williams struggled with the Yankees and lost the team's closer job midway through 2025. He pitched better down the stretch, still has an elite arsenal. That being said, re-signing Diaz is still the top priority. Right. But keep in mind, this team collapsed, okay? There's something wrong with the culture. And sometimes you got to replace people that are going to be tough in the clubhouse and tough on the field and aren't going to bend, not going to break. The guy I'd want if I lost Diaz would be Suarez, okay, right now. I would mention also that I have found that pitchers that pitch in San Diego, when they get outside San Diego, the pressure can be a little bit much for them. Even though Trevor Hoffman was such a great closer, had all these saves and stuff, this guy blew a lot of big games. And he blew an all-star game. And he blew an all-star game. He did. Heath Bell, remember him? Couldn't pitch in New York. Went to San Diego. No pressure there. So keep that in mind about San Diego relievers. There's no pressure there. I'd want him, but I'm just saying. Fairbanks, let the buyer beware from, Tampa. And Williams has one X on him. That X was put there by Pete Alonso. So keep that in mind. But he has pitched really well. He pitched really well in the second half. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. It's the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Host the Hut. Welcome back to the Baseball Hut 3, and hopefully like this video and hit that subscribe button. So we're going to talk about in this video, Christopher Mad Dog Russo. Yes, still fighting this cold. I can't do his voice, which I normally can do. But Chris is always fired up. He's always like losing his mind over something, screaming like a crazy person. I don't know how he doesn't have blood pressure problems, because he hasn't had a coronary. That's probably why he eats those gummy pot bears, what the hell he's eating. But he's not happy about a particular football coach in college, Lane Kiffin of Ole Miss. I guess he's about ready to leave Ole Miss. Obviously, we got the young quarterback, Arch Manning, there. We'll see if he decides to leave, because that's a result of the situation. If he leaves Ole Miss and goes into the NFL ranks. But Mad Dog was not too happy about this situation, because the season for Ole Miss is still going on. And, well, maybe that's why they not played as well as they probably should. Maybe he's distracted. Who knows? This is Lane Kiffin. But Chris Russo, from according to Off Announcing. Headline: Chris Russo fired up over Lane Kiffin Ole Miss situation. How about a little loyalty? I've had enough of him. Oh, I'm so tired of Lane Kiffin. What a joke. You don't do this to your team. Okay? I would mention, the dog left in WFAN in 2008, I believe. And he basically dropped everything. Just quit. Because he had another job at Sirius XM. And he didn't want to continue to work with his partner, Mike Francesca. So he has no problem doing it, but he doesn't want other people doing it. He'll do it. Do as I say, don't do as I do. By all accounts, it's very unclear what Lane Kiffin's next move will be. Will he remain at Ole Miss, lead them into the college football playoff, and continue building the program? Question mark. Will he announce he's leaving for LSU or Florida, but remain at Ole Miss, the CFP? Will he announce he's leaving for LSU or Florida, leaving Ole Miss high and dry as they attempt to win the NSC and the CFP? Now, again, Dog dropped Mike and the Mad Dog when they were number one. He had no problem doing it. All options remain on the table, and presumably we won't have a clear answer until after the Egg Bowl. In the meantime, noted football aficionado Christopher Mad Dog Russo had some strong opinions on Kiffin, and what he reportedly may end up doing, well, we're going to find out. Lane Kiffin is a clown. Ole Miss took him out of FAU, where he obviously had problems at Tennessee. Al Davis couldn't stand him. He got fired at USC. Russo ranted on Wednesday's episode of First Take. He's done a good job. He's a good coach, but you know what? You owe it to this team that's got a chance to win a national championship to play out the year. You want to leave January 15th? I don't care about the recruiting day. You want to leave January 15th to go to Baton Rouge or go to Gainesville? Go ahead. But you owe it to your team and that school and those players to follow up the year. He can win championships at Ole Miss. He's shown he can win championships at Ole Miss. It's not like he can't get talent there. For him to do this, go on McAfee and sort of circumvent the questions. I've had enough of him. Oh, I'm so tired of Lane Kiffin. What a joke. You don't do this to your team. Okay? Again, Dog did this to his team. To drive home his point even more starkly, Russo got into a classic yelling battle with Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith. They're still yapping over Kiffin's intentions, where he pondered whatever happened to being loyal. Well, again, Dog wasn't loyal with WFAN. He couldn't wait to get out of there. The guy was doing a morning show after Imus left, and he said, I'm going to leave. Okay. So leave. But don't be coming back years later to get people to forget how you left, Doggy. How about a little loyalty, Bell Russo? How about a little idea that Mississippi bailed him out from some college in Florida to go to Oxford? How about a little loyalty to say, you know what? They were good to me here. They pay me well. We have a good team. I owe the team that can the conclusion of the season, before we talked about any other job, you can make the merits of Russo's argument and even dispute the notion that Giffen owes Ole Miss any loyalty at all. But if the head coach does indeed leave Oxford following the Egg Bowl before Ole Miss's potential championship season is over, for Russo's head to explode in full. I mean, really, he's gonna have a coronary. I'm surprised he hasn't had a coronary on the air. Really, I mean, and you wonder if a lot of it with Russo was real, because I've met him. He's pretty calm. It was a long time ago, but he's pretty calm to deal with. But on the air, crazy, nuts. On the air, he's crazy. Really. Love the guy, but boy, he is out there. Reason why I always call him Fruit Loops. He is, I can't, look. Voice is just not there yet. But again, what do you think about this thing with Russo? Is he right? Is he right about Lane Giffen? I don't know. You have a right to see what else is out there when you have a chance to improve yourself. And if he's not happy at Ole Miss, do you want a coach there that's not happy? I don't think so. You want your boss being there that's not happy? No. Because that trickles down. That trickles down to everybody under him. The coaches, the players, the water boy. It trickles down. But you let me know what you think about this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Head 3. And I'll see you later.